This segment of DelmarvaLife is sponsored by Peninsula Home Care.
They take care of us and keep us healthy, so that makes them worth celebrating. We're talking about doctors, and 10 days from today, March 30th, is World Doctors Day.
Yeah, and to get ready, we're going to spotlight one of the doctors in our area. His name is Dr. James Trumbull, and he's the Vice President of Clinical Integration at TidalHealth. Now, our friends at Peninsula Home Care, a joint venture partner with TidalHealth, say he's the best of the best.
Dr. James Trumbull found his interest in healthcare through his family.
My grandfather actually was a veterinarian, and I actually thought about going to veterinary school, and he actually talked me out of it and said, no, go to medical school and become a doctor.
That he did. After medical school, he served as an emergency physician in the military and then later worked in emergency medicine here in Maryland.
And then an opportunity happened at the hospital I previously worked at to work inside the hospital, working with quality and utilization.
That began his journey into leadership. He's now the Vice President of Clinical Integration here at TidalHealth. Now, what is clinical integration? Let's ask him to break it down.
If you think about it in terms of population health, right? You know, it's our efforts to get out into the community and try to figure out how do we better take care of people in our area. And then clinical integration is really trying to literally integrate that into the way that our practices take care of patients.
That meaning the way they see, interact with, and treat patients, and how they transition patients into the next form of care in the community.
That aspect of it has really become critical into making sure that patients are able to get what they can so that they can recover at home. And to try to keep them from needing to come back into the hospital or to the emergency department for that matter.
Making this transition as seamless as possible requires local partnerships.
It gives us both skin in the game, right? I mean, we've got a reliance on each other. It's symbiotic in a way.
One of those joint venture partners is Peninsula Home Care. The two rely on one another.
I think that level of collaboration, it necessitates, as we've talked about already, better communication, better ways to automate that process. We're always looking at that. So it's driving innovation in many respects to figure out what is the next step and how we do this better.
A lot of times the answer to that comes with looking deeper into the issues.
Many of these issues are weaved together that, yes, they need home health or yes, they need some sort of medical equipment, but that's because they live and have this transportation issue or they're unable to get this medication.
Dr. Trumbull didn't always have this big picture thinking. It developed over time.
It is kind of that evolution. You know, I certainly wouldn't say the person I am today was who I was 20 or 30 years ago when I was starting practice in emergency medicine. It's very different. My mindset was all about critical care, emergency issues coming into the emergency department. But now, the view is broader.
Even with this broad view, his passions overall remain the same: to use scientific knowledge to take care of others.
There is this underlying desire to see people be better, a desire to want to help people. I think that there's also an interest in the science aspect of it. Certainly it's something that I think that we tend to kind of twine them together, so to speak, but ultimately, while there is science behind it, that it's the human factor that ultimately, is really the big satisfier, I think, for people in healthcare. And I certainly hope that because of that we ultimately provide better care and more personal care to patients.
And when these folks from different organizations join together in that effort for better and personal care, that's where the magic happens.
A little more about Dr. Trumbull. He's happily married. He says his wife has always been supportive of his career. He also has two daughters. One is a school teacher. The other is a dietitian. And it was so nice to meet him.
I bet it was. He sounds like an awesome guy.